Hey guys, it is me, Marty, and it is time for day 3 of VEDA. And for today's theme, it is for me to talk about interesting things about where I am from. Now, I could have taken the easy way out and went ahead with Centralia, which is already interesting as hell. Those of you guys who don't know what Centralia is, I made a few videos about it. Well, I went there, didn't really go into the history about it, but the general history of it is that it is a town that is now, well, it's now a ghost town, that has an underground mine fire. It's been burning since 1962, I think it was, and it's still burning to this day. I could have talked about that, but I decided, let's make it even more interesting and talk about something that not only you guys won't know, but also something that people in my area may not know about. But it's something that ever since I discovered that it was a thing, it has always interested me and intrigued me. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and then maybe later on I can do an even bigger expanded video on it if you guys are down for that and want it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the United Airlines crash number 624. The reason why I brought up Centralia is because it actually took place very close to Centralia. That's where a lot of, like, if you Google it, that's where it'll come up for. People from our area, you will know it took place basically right in between Wilburton 2 and Aristus. And I have some facts written down here on my Kindle because I would not be able to remember them all. And yeah, so this plane crash took place on June 17th of 1948. It was actually the largest plane crash in aviation history before the 1950s. Some of the notable passengers was Earl Carroll, who was a producer of Broadway musicals, actress Beryl Wallace, and Henry Jackson, the co-founder of Esquire magazine. I personally have never heard of them, but when I talked to a few other people about this, there are some people who have actually heard of these people and thought that it was like really interesting that happened around this area, because I guess they never realized that this is where they died. So what happened was the plane was a Douglas DC-6, which is one of the types of airplanes that have like the propellers on the river. I'm going to go ahead and post a picture so that way you guys can have the visual of what the plane looked like. Apparently what happened was there was issues with the planes where if there was fires in there, the cargo compartments would catch on fire, and there was a new fire extinguishing system on this that would flush the compartment with carbon monoxide. I think it was carbon monoxide. Wait, I do have it written down. I did have a lot of this memorized. I was wrong. Carbon dioxide. No, I can't say it right. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Carbon dioxide. There we go. So what it would do is it would flood the cargo compartment with carbon dioxide and seal off the passenger compartment, make sure that obviously can't get filled with carbon dioxide, or else that would kill people. Apparently what happened is they forgot to switch the switch that would block off the carbon dioxide from filling up the cabin, and slowly but surely it filled up the cabin and the passengers, and eventually the pilots, they think, passed out. They're not really sure because of what happened with the crash. They think they might have passed out and woken up. It's not 100% sure. So, per operating procedure, the crew have opened the pressure release valves in the cabin to vent excess carbon dioxide away from people. However, it is believed this step was not taken. As a result, carbon dioxide gas began seeping into the cabin and cockpit, thus causing the crew to become partially incapacitated. Realizing something was wrong, they began an emergency descent. So, okay. I wish I would have read my notes. That's why I have notes, but I'm trying to do this from memory because I wanted to make a video on this before. So anyway, what they did is they started to drop an altitude, and they came into contact with a high voltage power line. Now, I got a little bit more details on what happened with the power line because the crash was a whole lot more, I guess, intense looking. What happened was according to accounts in the Associated Press, there were 80 colliery workers, I'm pretty sure I live in a coal area and I can't even say that word. I'm pretty sure it's colliery workers who came close to death when the stricken plane barely missed crashing into the 265-foot high colliery in which they were working. Again, AP tells us the plane tried to pancake safely on the black hill of coal dust and water near this eastern Pennsylvania anthracite coal town. The plane limped at half speed into a very valley dotted with anthracite collieries. The captain guided his ship 4 miles between two hills, and He was scarcely 30 feet above the ground. Stunned miners saw the nose of the plane veer upward too late. It shattered against a 60,000 volt power line and exploded. So when that happened, this flight crash was, again, like I said, one of the biggest ones that has ever happened in the entire history of aviation up to that point. Before the 50s, no other plane crash has been as bad as this one. When this plane crash happened, the Associated Press was, I guess, a thing, but not as big of a thing, and all the newspapers in this area were small and not linked to the bigger whatever. So they ended up, to get the news out more nationally and faster, apparently one of the newspapers in Hazleton drove all the way here, which is 45 minutes, took pictures, went back, developed them, which takes a long time back in those days. I mean, now we take a picture and it's all ready to go. Back then, there was I don't know how long it takes to develop pictures. Well, how long it took then, because now we have 1 hour photos, but I'm sure back then it was even longer. But within 3 hours, they had a picture sent out to news outlets, the local newspapers, and it is one of the things that changed the game when it comes to press and pictures and stuff like that, because I guess something like that hasn't been done before that point. There wasn't much details for me to read on that, but I thought that was a really, really, really neat fun fact, and I figured that would be something I would share. So there was that plane crash. Everybody on board died, obviously. There was a total of 39 passengers and 4 crew members, and they were all killed. The flight was on its way from San Diego to New York. It stopped at Los Angeles and Chicago. Now, the one thing that is really, really interesting that I remember reading in my research before, and it took me forever to find again, is that there was a rumor of supposedly treasure that came from that flight, which, I mean, maybe with every type of tragedy, there's always whisperings of treasure, but supposedly there was seen coming out of the plane, a package came out, and that was supposedly a package of $250,000 and a whole bunch of uncut diamonds. And people said that they seen burning money, and they found burning money in the surrounding towns, which led people to, like, search the surrounding towns. I've read somewhere that some people said that the $250,000 bundle of money, well, let me see, in small bills and a shipment of uncut diamonds was just a story to keep people away from the plane crash, where I guess the treasure hunters, because I guess back then it was not considered as bad to go and dig through the crash of, like, somebody's tragedy for treasure. But yeah, they keep people and scavengers away. Newspapers of the time reported the search for the cash and several packets of burned bills being picked up, along with most of the diamonds being picked up one by one from the mud. After the investigators ended their job, they declared the site cleaned up and turned it back over to landowners. A local mining company the site belongs to is currently, and I know that they still are because I drive by there a lot, is stripping the site out for coal silt to fuel electric plants, which they still do mine back there. I think, if I remember correctly, they're not mining in the spot where it happened, but I heard that the foundation for the transformer that the plane crashed into is still there, but I'm not 100% sure. I really would love to get back there and, like, explore the area, like, not really like, just show the area and be like, hey, this is where this history happened. Isn't this really cool? But yeah, that is the interesting thing about this area. There was a big plane crash that actually killed some famous people. And not many people from here actually even know about it. My mom didn't know about it. Like, almost anybody I tell this story to is like, wow, that is actually quite interesting. I never heard that. And yeah, when I learned the story, I became obsessed with it, and I researched and researched and researched, and it inspired me to start writing up what was going to be a show that I ended up not doing. It was going to be all about the fun history and, like, the little known history in this area, and then maybe expanding it to, like, Pennsylvania or the country or whatever, but that never took off. But if you guys would want to see something like that, let me know, and it would be probably a whole lot more better than this is, because I feel like I kept rambling. I don't know. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know in the comment section as well. Give me a thumbs up, because I really enjoyed researching this, and it's just, and I really, really, really hope you guys enjoyed watching this. It's hard to keep all the information organized in your mind and talk about it. I have no idea how Philip DeFranco does it. I don't know if he has a teleprompter or what, and I don't want to be just sitting there reading off of a script because that's not as natural. So I need to figure out how to do this better, but I'm going off on those bunny trails like what I talked about yesterday. Anyway, that is all for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe and be sure to hit that bell button because I am doing VEDA, so I am vlogging every day in August, and you don't want to miss any of that. So hit that bell button so you get notified every single time that I post a video. Be sure to check me out on my social media down in the description bar below. And I think that's all. I shall see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye!